Greetings from Castle Goring, from Aurora, who's licking me to death, sorry, Mickey, and from me. Well, we have an awful lot of ground to cover. I mean, the truth is, I have so much ground to cover. I could do a 2-hour video every day of the week, and I'm not sure I'd actually be able to cover all the ground as thoroughly as I would like to cover it. Nevertheless, since that's not possible or feasible, we will have the next best thing, which is this. I am working on all the lies, the deceptions. Well, if I don't suppose I will be able to cover all of them, but I'll certainly cover quite a few of them in the next video, and maybe even the video after that. But this is coming up to the end of the year. So next time I'm going to submit a list to all of you who would like to participate in the best and worst of 2022. And we can have our awards, not the Ripple of Hope awards, the Honesty Awards. Okay? God bless. So, without further ado, let me move the girls to one side. Oh, good girl, Mickey. Good girl. Good girl. Mickey's leg is slightly tangled. And here we go. Bridget Wicks says, and today we are pretty much dealing with the fallout from the plottings by Harry and Meghan and their lot, and all that has happened in the last few days. So it's not exclusively on the Netflix program, and their variable recollections, which don't even agree with their own recollections. Bridget Wicks says, Harry's pupils were incredibly dilated on the Freedom flight, and it was broad daylight. How could this be? I've got the sniffles all of a sudden. I have no idea, none, how that could have happened. But it's certainly evidence of something, isn't it? And it's also evidence of the fact that neither he, she, nor may I say Netflix, actually thought that anybody would notice. Unless, of course, Netflix doesn't care, which is a possibility. Kathleen Lang says, one of the more amazing accusations was that Prince William bullied them out of the royal family. But I thought Harry said it was a terrifying screaming session at Sandringham over his decision to leave. If William wanted, big block capitals, them out to the point of bullying, wouldn't he have been thrilled they were leaving rather than screaming at Harry over his decision to... Once again, their story doesn't fit with any logic. Well, Kathleen Lang, you have said it better than I could have said it. And I had to read it out because it's so absolutely spot on. You see, these inconsistencies to which Harry and Meghan are prone, they don't understand that most adults know how to do simple arithmetic. And 2 and 2 doesn't make 22, even when they want it to. Elizabeth Granger says, I understand Netflix have put a disclaimer at the end of the video. Is this correct, and can you comment? They certainly have. And it arises out of Jenny Affia's statement, which conflicts with Jason Knopf's statement. So I'm going to read out, first of all, the disclaimer, then I'm going to give a little bit of background on it. In response to allegations that Mr. Knopf submitted a voluntary witness statement in connection with the Daily Mail litigation with the consent of Prince Andrew's office, a representative for Mr. Knopf has sent the following statement. And before I read the rest of it, I'm going to interrupt myself and say, it was not the Daily Mail litigation. It was the Mail on Sunday litigation. Now, Rachel Insane, slap him once, slap him twice, slap him again. Should have picked up on that detail. But I'm not sure Netflix or their lawyers would have picked up on that detail. Interesting, that little slip up. Anyway, to continue with the statement from Mr. Knopf, as they called him, Jason Knopf. These claims are entirely false. Mr. Knopf was asked to provide evidence by both the Duchess of Sussex and associated newspapers. He was advised by counsel that evidence in his possession could be relevant, and he then provided this directly to the court, staying neutral in the process. The Duchess of Sussex's attorneys responded with the following statement. The legal team of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, there's no such person. She's the Duchess of Sussex, full stop. There's no such title as Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And they can ram it down our throats all they want with all of their misrepresentations and lies. It doesn't alter the fact there's no such title as Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Anyway, to continue. The legal team of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, cock your finger, you gotta be classy, disputes this claim. Mr. Knopf was not asked to provide a witness statement by the Duchess or her team, nor do her attorneys, notice the word, that's not a word the British would use, nor do her attorneys believe Mr. Knopf remained neutral, in quotation marks, by submitting a witness statement relied on by associated newspapers whilst working for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Well, there are one or two little problems with this that I, with my wide experience of not only litigation, but to a lesser extent the law, because I'm very au fait with libel, slander, and breach of contract. They are, first of all, they call them attorneys, so that suggests it's an American that's put it out. However, her legal team disputes this claim. Mr. Knopf was not asked to provide a witness statement by the Duchess or her team. That seems to me that that's a very shady answer. Jenny Affia, I have to tell you, is obviously as sharp as Meghan. I'm going to tell you one or two facts where witnesses in English law are concerned. Witnesses have no credit. You're not my witness or the other side's witness. You are a witness for the court to the facts, to the truth. They are plainly trying to confuse the public and not only make out that Jason Knopf was, which they suggest, is a witness for the other side and wasn't neutral. But in doing so, they are actually deceiving the public. And it is possible that they didn't ask Jason Knopf for a witness statement. If they didn't ask him for a witness statement, but asked him to provide evidence, they can actually wriggle away from the fact by misleading the public on a technicality. This conflict arises out of the contents of Jenny Affia's statement in the programme, that Jason Knopf's statement was basically a put-up job by the palace to discredit Meghan because the bullying claims were as a result of Meghan being discredited, when of course to discredit for Oprah. She said that Jason Knopf's witness statement had no legal significance on the case whatsoever, but was filed because the impact on Meghan's reputation was potentially damaging. And Jason Knopf then said, through a representative, that he was a less than willing participant in the case, having been approached by both sides to give evidence, and only agreed to submit a statement to the court on legal advice. Do you see the gaps between what each side is saying? I think that if Jenny Affia is speaking the truth, as a lawyer, she should be careful of her reputation and she should sue Jason Knopf for defaming her. And I think that if Jason Knopf is speaking the truth, that he should sue Jenny Affia for defaming him, and also Netflix for publishing it. I know who I believe in all of this. More than that, I don't think I need say. Jane Tanner says, sadly, I think Meghan is deliberately and calculatingly pushing Harry over the edge and manipulating him to play the emotional blackmail card with King Charles III, so that if anything tragic should happen, she can accusingly point the finger of guilt at Charles, freeing her up to play the grieving widow. It puts Charles in an impossible no-win situation. What say you, Lady C? Jane Tanner, I more or less hinted, if I didn't actually say it, the other day, and that is definitely a fear that people have where Meghan and Harry are concerned. I actually said it, or that nobody wants her to be, I can't remember what sort of widow I said on the Dan Wooten show, and I think I said it here the last time as well. Nobody wants her to be a fabulous widow. Oh my God, can you imagine? Franz Lehar will have nothing on Meghan Markle with the Merry Widow. Oh, but it's going to be a Merry Widow that cries all the time. H and I had such a great love story. I don't know how this could have happened. We loved each other so much. One tear at a time through the left eye. But maybe she'll whip herself up into such a frenzy that she'll actually cry through both eyes. Oh, what a performance the greatest role of her life. Of course, I'm not accusing her of anything. But if she continues at the rate she's going, I'm not taking bets on the outcome. Bob T. Reed says, "Dear Lady C, may I please plunge right in?" "You certainly may, Bob T. Reed." "The latest news that H&M are demanding a meeting with and an in-person apology from the royal family strikes me as a desperate attempt to poke the bear for some kind of reaction to their documentary series, the lack of which must be killing them, as well as create an opportunity to feed the family drama." Well, that's something Harry and Meghan love. If there's one thing narcissists cannot cope with, it's a firm and consistent use of the grey rock technique, which the royal family have been executing superbly. Do you agree that the royal family would be wise to continue to starve them of any reactions to their endless provocations? Or is it time for a formal response? Bob T. Reed, brilliant question. The problem with the Harrys and Meghans of this world is any response is twisted for them to ratchet up the ante. So it is better, wherever possible, to freeze them out. And if you're going to do something, do it in a proactive and non-responsive manner. That's the lesson I learned dealing with my mother. And I think it's a lesson that the royal family has learned dealing with Meghan and Harry. Because irrespective of the degree of narcissism that they do and don't possess jointly, there's a little doubt in my mind that we are dealing with fully fledged narcissistic personality disorder allied to antisocial aspects and Machiavellianism. Now, Dr. Carol Lieberman has diagnosed Meghan as a manipulative sociopathic narcissist. And I have spoken to professionals privately who have more or less said pretty much the same thing. Of course, this is not defamatory because these are conditions, health conditions and illnesses that we're dealing with. So you could say that they have had them inflicted upon them by, whether it's by themselves or their circumstances or whatever's beside the point. I need to make all of these plain for legal reasons. I think there comes a point with people like Meghan and my mother where you need to tear the mask off forcefully, thoroughly, effectively, and with finality. That's what I did on more than one occasion. That was done privately. Doing it publicly when you're a royal family is not really feasible. I think they are handling the provocations in the absolutely correct way that they should be doing, which is non-responsive, at least superficially. There are things they can do. If I were advising the King and the Prince of Wales, I know what I would tell them from my own personal experience that has worked, but I'm sure they have better advisors than I would ever prove to be. I mean, they have access to the best medical advice in the world. They also are a family. And I mean, nobody wants to drive a loved one who is behaving tremendously badly over the edge. So more than that, I think I shouldn't say, but no, I don't think now is the time for a formal response. I think they should let the dust settle. One thing I think they should do is encourage Jason Knopf to sue Jenny Affia. That's the way of going about it. That certainly would set the cat amongst the pigeons. Lorraine Mybra says, "Hi, Lady C. I saw tonight that Lady Susan Hussey had to apologise to Ngozi Fulani, and that the apology was so kindly accepted. I did not believe I could be shocked anymore, but I am. What a disgrace. Lady Susan had to apologise to the woman who baited her. Your thoughts?" Well, Lorraine Mybra, my thoughts are this is a very difficult situation, and I have taken soundings, and I think the family is dealing with an incendiary situation with potentially devastating consequences, not only to their position in this country, but worldwide, certainly in terms of the Commonwealth. They have to think of all of the ignorant people who are easily duped, who are in their lives, whether, well, because he's the king and William is the Prince of Wales, they're not only, it's not only necessary to deal with those who agree with them and those who support them, they need to also take the argument to and hopefully prevail with, without arguing the case, incidentally, ostensibly, to those who do not agree with them or those who have been duped. Now, I speak as a Jamaican, and a Jamaican who's obviously from a very sophisticated environment and a privileged environment. But there are loads of Jamaicans who are not privileged and not from sophisticated environments. So Jamaica is representative of all of the other countries in the Commonwealth in these terms. And I want to choose my words very carefully, my reading of the situation is that Lady Susan Hussey, who is the consummate monarchist, consummately loyal, consummately sophisticated, consummately non-racist, she has willingly understood that the way to diffuse this situation, especially as it was timed to coincide with Meghan and Harry's accusations against the royal family and against the British people and the British press in terms of racism, and they had paid contributors and unpaid contributors furthering this racist agenda. She has been noble, she has been self-sacrificing, and she has done what she and they regard as the most desirable action in very difficult circumstances. She has apologized. I mean, the statement put out by the palace panders without a doubt to people who have narrow vision, let's put it that way. I get the whole thing. I understand when you are dealing in realpolitik, which is what they are dealing in. It's realpolitik. It's not political party, but it is realpolitik with real consequences unless they get it right and get this issue dispensed with in a positive way that doesn't alienate hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people all over the world, especially those who are easily duped. I think they've handled it with a degree of sophistication that I would actually say is brilliant. I know personally it sticks in the craw, but the truth is not always the advisable thing to speak. Sometimes you need to take a considered course of action that will result in minimizing considerable damage. And the royal family cannot allow racists to accuse them of racism and their household of racist conduct without some consequence. And I think Lady Susan Hussey should be absolutely admired for the truly noble and self-sacrificing way she has gone about protecting the monarchy and working her way around the racist accusations which were totally unfounded. But you know, in certain situations, if you speak the truth, people are going to think you're just denying something and there's more to it. So they have worked their way around it. Politics is a dirty business, and realpolitik requires real nous. Let's put it that way. Claude and I says, "Dear Lady C, as always, you have hit the nail on the head. Doria Raglan comes across as a snake." And she is peddling poison along with her daughter. What do you think of Tyler Perry's comment that Meghan is elegant and classy. He seems like a very kind man, but he has been taken for a ride by the disingenuous duo, Clodagh. What do I think? Well, I don't like the way you're insulting snakes. That's the first thing. I think it's really rude of you to insult snakes. If you get my drift. Tyler Perry's concept of elegant and classy. Well, the mere fact he uses the word classy tells you all, doesn't it? I mean, I didn't know what he looked like when he popped upon the screen. I had no idea who he was until I read who he was. That's my lacuna. However, he does seem like a very kind man, and I gather that he has a very interesting and very touching story. And for, people who have suffered and conquered their demons and remained kind are very commendable. They're also easily duped. I speak from experience. Sorry. I've been duped more than once in my life, and I don't condemn him for being duped. I also think that he was advised by Oprah to write to them. I'm sure I'm not wrong there. In the hope of getting a wedding invitation, and when he didn't, he was actually magnanimous about it all, and he's been extremely generous to them. I do wish, though, the Tyler Perrys of this world wouldn't allow the Meghan Markles of this world to pull the wool over their eyes and dupe them using the race card and using the pain they have suffered as a result of racial prejudice to ring those cash registers and exploit the friendship. Because I was told at lunch the other day by a very prominent Montecito resident, and more than that I cannot say, because I am not going to give Harry and Meghan the satisfaction of realizing to whom I have been speaking. And this person, and I'm going to draw a veil over their sex as well as everything else, said that everybody in Montecito is royally peed off with them because they are always catching lifts on people's planes. All those private jets that they're flying around on, evidently they don't pay for them, and people are getting royally peed off with them. Well, I don't know why people simply don't say no, but then again, I suppose I have more social confidence than people of that ilk, because they may have money, but usually they don't have true confidence. I mean, I certainly wouldn't allow any broken down power royal to take me for a ride, but evidently Meghan and Harry have been not only taking the billionaire owners of private planes for a ride, figuratively, but doing it by allowing the owners' planes to be ridden by them gratis. Interesting little vignette, no? Jeanette says, Lady C, speaking about Doria made me think of Uriah Heep. Interesting, Jeanette, that you say that. I thought when I was speaking about Doria that there was something very Uriah Heep about her demeanour. I found it really off-putting. She reminded me of a nanny that I employed, who at first I thought was so refined for somebody of her background. Gosh, what a snake she turned out to be. She was truly monstrous, this woman, but I got my own back. And I'm not going to tell you how. I'm going to be wicked. Wendy Adams says, Harry said they had planned the leaving for more than 2 years before they left. Therefore, it cannot have been racist reasons or any of the other reasons, as none of those had cropped up. What buffoons they are. Wendy Adams, well spotted. This again is another one of Harry and Meghan's many inconsistencies, which, if you examine them with a clarity of vision and the mildest engagement of brain cells, you will realize that they are windbags as well as buffoons, and that they just grab reasons out of the air to justify their conduct. And yes, they are spiteful and they are nasty. And had they got half in, half out, none of this would be happening. They would be bigging up the royal family, because that would mean they would be bigging up themselves. And since they have an advantage in not bigging up the royal family, a financial advantage, or so they thought, they've been as nasty as they could possibly be, with one moan, groan and complaint after another. Heather Luchter Warren says, this is what you get when two totally spoiled brats don't get their own way. All their lies and woe is me almost brings a tear to my left eye. Mine too, my dear. Thanks, Lady C, for taking one for the team, watching 6 episodes. You deserve a medal. I couldn't agree more, both about what you say about Harry and Meghan being two spoiled brats who haven't got their own way and are therefore really being nasty and spiteful and just rat-a-tatting the lies. And I also agree that it's been pretty self-sacrificing of me to take one for the team, if I may be so bold as to congratulate myself. Because, I tell you. But now that I'm going over it again, picking out things for your delectation in terms of inconsistencies and outright lies and manipulations, etc., I'm actually enjoying it somewhat when I'm not totally disgusted, which I am some of the time. And my humour kicks in. I can't believe that these idiots are so farcical, because it's one stupidity after the other. I mean, they just bung it out there, just bung it out. Kirsty Venter says, King Charles invited them to his coronation. King Charles inviting them, to his coronation is a clever move. He keeps faith that he and the royal family at large are not discriminating against those two, and puts them in the predicament of knowing if they accept, they are proving their own lies about being cast aside and being mistreated. It was the right thing for a father to do, and now they can't be victims that they weren't invited. Kirsty Venter, that's a very interesting observation. And I wish I could agree with you. However, invitations to coronations are not sent out 6 months before the event. You can depend on it. Whoever has leaked that information, it is in their interest for the world to think that Harry and Meghan have been asked to the coronation. Well, you can't be asked to something where invitations haven't been yet issued. Let's put it that way. You know, there is every possibility that Meghan and Harry are yet again playing the world. They are real players. If you haven't figured it out yet, they are real players. They play with the facts, they play with the truth, they play with people's feelings, they play with every bit of reality. They are like greedy 2-year-olds stuffing their faces with chocolate and then splattering you with their filthy hands. I just leave you with a thought. How is it possible that they could have been asked to an event where no invitations have yet been sent out? Just make that point for what it's worth. Liliana Webster says, the really sad truth is that they expected the late Queen to see this vicious tirade. Thank God she was spared. Very well observed, Liliana Webster. If they knew the Queen was dying, and of course they have put out via people that they had no idea. Oh dear. Aurora, come and comfort Mummy. She's such a fool. Mummy believes all the nonsense that people put out. If they knew that she was dying, and I think they did know she was dying, because if I knew she was dying, they had to know she was dying. And even if they hadn't been told, they'd have been incredibly stupid. And Meghan isn't that stupid to have thought that she was going to live forever. So they would have expected her to be alive, because I don't think they expected her to die quite when she did. I think they expected her to die later in the year or next year. I just say that for what it's worth. And yes, thank God she was spared, because as Anne writes, what is horrifying to me is that, but for her passing away, Queen Elizabeth would have suffered the indignity of her grandson labelling one of her greatest and most enduring legacies, the Commonwealth, as Empire 2.0. Thankfully, she is spared that heartbreak. King Charles and Queen Camilla have my deepest sympathies for the disgraceful, character-disturbed conduct of this wayward couple. Anne writes, you've said it so well. Your words echo my sentiments. The treachery, the betrayal, the denigration of the poor Queen's legacy. The mischief making, so that they, and I'll tell you better, even if everything they said was true, and it clearly can't be because they contradict themselves left, right, and centre, but even if everything they said was true, they still should never have attacked the Queen's legacy and got their cohorts to do it on their behalf as well. I think it's rank treachery. AP 9047 says, Lady C, you are correct. Their love story is in fact so great that they can't recall how they made their love official. Was it in the kitchen over roast chicken and a simple and natural affair, as they shared during the BBC interview? Or was it a humble backyard picnic, filmed by Meghan, with Harry on one knee as she recorded it and called her friend Jess in Canada as it was happening? So normal, so normal, so natural, so innocent. Oh, yes. Julia Roberts comes to the rescue again. So rare, laugh out loud. Really, Harry, didn't you find it odd that your Diana 2.0 just happened to be filming your engagement and calling a friend saying in glee, it's rarely happening, Jess? Harry was so desperate to have a woman who would accept him with all his flaws and limitations, and was good looking, and was talented. That's right, talented. Yes, really talented. He suspended the little bit of thought he had long ago, and he's going along with everything like a junkie goes along with heroin. Janet Della Rosa says, I feel that inadvertently she has shown the world her intentions from the very beginning. No normal person would record every mortal thing that happened from the day she met Harry. Poor old Harry, what a sucker. You can say that again, Janet Della Rosa. You couldn't be more accurate. You've hit the nail on the head. Harry is a total dupe and a total sucker. But he's getting what he wants. And that's where her artistry comes in. You have to pity him. But with due respect, you may pity an axe murderer, but you're not going to hand him an axe. Let's put it that way. And Harry has been hacking his way through everybody's reputation with a Meghan. Elaine Lewis says, the most important fact is that the USA audience has not tuned in. Several exclamation marks. The figures are very low and Netflix had to give advertisers their money back as very few tuned in. This is the truth. The USA has had enough of them. Elaine Lewis? So I hear. Isn't it wonderful? I don't think there are any good reviews. But of course, Netflix is going to call in favors. You wait for it. If they haven't been doing it already, they're going to have to do it at some point. They're going to call in favors. They're going to soften the blow. Therese McNamara says, Lady C, the Compton article is being weaponized to support British racism constantly, and it's wrong. I've witnessed Dan Wootton being hit with it a few times now. It was an American article, big block capitals. That's right, it was written by an American. It originated in America. Nobody in England knew anything about Compton. The demographics in Compton are mainly white, only just, and the author was trying to be classist, not racist. I'm sure that's correct. The article was endeavouring to be a rags to riches story, full stop. Well, to interject, I don't know why Meghan would be complaining about that, because that's the rubbish that she fed Harry. You know that, oh, I was working from I was 6 weeks old, waitressing on tables, and I had grants. Remember the lies she told at the speech in Fiji about how she'd worked her way through college? Well, she's worked her way through many things, but it wasn't through college, and it certainly wasn't through the private schools that she attended, gratis her father. But why she would object to the press saying that what she has been saying to Harry is an interesting point to make, isn't it? This article was endeavouring to be a rags to riches story, full stop. I fear if the palace doesn't do something ASAP, the damage will be irreversible. My 24-year-old and her friends believe the Markles as they aren't aware of their lies. They don't believe anyone could lie to this extent. God help the monarchy and the Commonwealth. After Lazy Susan's apology, coupled with the Markles being invited to the coronation, the Crown is portraying guilt. Therese McNamara, you are right. You are right. But sometimes when you're dealing with realpolitik, you have to take a minor hit to avoid a major disaster. So, but basically, your analysis is absolutely solid, and the royal family really do have to get themselves into high gear and start to do things that will protect them. My recommendation would be that they allow Jason Knopf to sue Jenny Affia and Netflix for libel. That would certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons. Of course, they most likely aren't going to do it, because you know in life you need to have courage. And I'll tell you something, not many people do. That's one lesson I've learned in life. Courage is not as let me think of the right word. Common is actually a good word to use. A commodity, as one would hope it is. I used to say to my children from they were very young, life is full of expected and unexpected consequences. Every action has an equal and an opposite reaction according to the laws of physics. You may as well, therefore, be brave as cowardly, because no matter what course of action you take, you are going to have foreseen and unforeseen consequences. I speak as somebody who has survived an extraordinarily difficult life. One psychiatrist and one psychotherapist both told me that they didn't understand how I didn't commit suicide. Well, I'll tell you how. Because when things are really bad, you have to be courageous. And when you have to be courageous, you understand very quickly that courage is actually something worth possessing. I learned in the school of hard knocks that courage as well as cowardice have their price. And frankly, I'd prefer to go down as brave rather than cowardly. And the royal family is going to, at some point, need to wake up to the fact that there are things they can do that they should be doing. That's, of course, they are doing things behind the scenes just not the proactive things that they need to be doing to win the long game. That's my take on it. I think they are their advice is remiss in that their advisors don't have the depth or breadth of knowledge and experience of hard lives and hard knocks to understand in certain situations you have an alternative. You don't need to do it. You can get somebody else to do it. Jason Knopf should be suing Jenny Afia and Netflix. That's certainly a starting point. Let's put it that way. But now you begin to get the drift as to where, if I were telling them what to do, how I would go about it. I wouldn't get into the squabble. You said this, I said that. No. Get Jason Knopf to do it. Archie Sylvester says, I have one question. Why are the palace not piping up to respond to all this? They could shut this down in one fell swoop by allowing aides to rip up their NDAs and speak. That's another way they could do it. That might set dangerous precedents, but that's another way they could do it. They could get Harry and Meghan's victims to defend themselves, and in so doing expose Harry and Meghan for what they truly are. Sharon Cutran says, Dear Lady C, you are correct about Oprah and the way she played the race card. Years ago, Oprah and I ran, sometimes in the same circles. I even had a relative who worked for Oprah while she was in Chicago. Oprah and I even shared the same personal trainer, and on it goes. Sharon Cutran, thanks for that. Yes, I know the Oprahs of this world, my dear, and Jamaican. I've seen them. I know their game, and I don't approve of it. I don't approve of troublemakers, whether they make a shed load of money or just cause a shed load of trouble. I don't like troublemakers. And Oprah is a walking, talking, money-grabbing troublemaker. And, as you might not know, when I refused to dishonor a previous engagement and go on her show, her people tried to threaten me into going on it by telling me if I didn't go on it, I would never go on it again. And I don't intend to go on it ever again. So, nasty piece of work. Henry Hazel says, I wonder whose idea it was to start filming themselves from the second date. I'm guessing Meghan's. Henry Hazel, I'm going to guess along with you. I have a feeling it was Meghan as well. And you know, one of the ways that I know, because some of those poses are so similar to what she's done with other men, past men. My goodness, her script doesn't vary very much. The cast might, but the script, not that much. Katie Morgan says, I think the expression that neither could understand or carry out is noblesse oblige, which I understand to mean with great privilege comes great duty. Our wonderful queen lived it. Do they despise it? I don't think Harry despised noblesse oblige. I think Meghan despised noblesse oblige. Noblesse oblige requires you to give. It doesn't allow you to monetize that which you should be giving. And Meghan learned from her mother Doria, make sure everybody pays for that milk. And everybody's paying for the milk in more ways than one. Deeply unsavoury. I happen to think noblesse oblige is the way people should go. But the Meghans of this world, no, they're not going down that route, my dear. That route is called giving, not getting. And Meghan only gives to get. It's so obvious to me, if not to anybody else. Yakov says, good afternoon, Lady C, Mickey and Aurora. Hi, Aurora. Mickey, Yakov sends to say hi. I was not really going to watch Harry and Meghan, but I thought I'd give it a second try. But when I got to numbers 3 and 4 and the days before the wedding, I couldn't help but think back to how happy I was for Meghan and Harry. Then I thought, what went so terribly wrong? How did those two enter into such a negative universe so quickly? I keep asking. Lady C, who or what made everything go so grey and dark for these two? That's a very complex question, but I'm going to answer it in a very sorry, I'm tripping over the word. I'm going to summarize it in a few sentences. We're dealing with two defective human beings. Now, everybody is deficient, but not everybody is defective. Harry is mentally defective and emotionally deficient and disturbed, in my opinion. Meghan, I think, is just defective. I think everything I have seen about her tells me that she is a deeply inadequate human being who has, over the years, used her undoubted determination, brain power, and the social skills she has managed to acquire as she has gone through life, creating one mask after the other to achieve her ends. What went wrong? Harry fell into the snake pit with one of the biggest black mambas that God put on this earth. And for those of you who think it's racist, it's not. Black mamba is the name of a snake. I think it's as simple as that. What went wrong? It was always going to go wrong because Meghan, in my opinion, does not have the largesse of personality, of heart, of soul. She's, in my opinion, Meghan isn't a giver, she's a taker. And she was clever enough, and people think she's stupid. She's not stupid. She's just inadequate. She's deficient. She is a defective personality. But that doesn't mean she's stupid. And her deficiencies are what propelled her to great success and what have ruined the great success that she would have been once she achieved as much success as she did. I could go into this in a whole book. So I think we'll stop there. Elinda de Freitas says, Meghan says that she is being fed to the wolves. Well, what exactly are she and Harry doing? They have been feeding everyone on both sides of their families to the wolves. My goodness, how they twist everything from their crooked point of view. Eleanor de Freitas, I couldn't agree more. I'm reading this out, and I'm reading Susan Marsh's comment out, and we're going to wrap up because I love the fact that all of you see things as they are, and you don't buy the lie that Netflix and Harry and Meghan and their band of ragtag people are trying to sell us. Susan Marsh says, if Markle's current husband condemns the British media for making money illegally, why does he persist in showing the Martin Bashir interview, which was obtained and made by deception? As always, the answer is for money. Harry Iscariot. Well, that's your opinion, and you are certainly entitled to it. And what I will say is, the BBC has stated categorically that they did not give permission for any of the Bashir interview to be aired by Netflix. The BBC should be suing Netflix for breach of copyright. That's another route they could go down. The BBC is our national broadcaster. It's about time they started to stand up for us, the British people. Will they do it? I suspect not. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and remember, please keep the questions and comments coming in because this cannot be done without you. Next time, lies, 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 manipulations, calculations, deceptions, and more lies. Welcome to the Harry and Meghan show. God bless. Bye-bye.